there. Welcome to the Particle Measuring Systems podcast. My name is Ugo, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Daniele about pharmaceutical data management systems. Welcome, Daniele.
Hello, Hugo. Thank you for inviting me in this interview.
Thank you. So we frequently hear many acronyms from the market, such as EMS, FMS, LIMS, EM. We could probably list a dozen of them between us. Can you shed some light on them and how we should interpret them in association with pharmaceutical clean room contamination control?
Interesting question, and this is something I used to face every day. So I become familiar with these acronyms, but for sure I know that they may sound a little bit complicated for those that are not within this environment every day.
Yeah.
So let me maybe mention the most important one. Uh, EMS stand for Environmental Monitoring System, and this is typically what particle measuring system is used to offer our customers. And within the EMS type of system, we have our Facility Pro that frequently we call as well FMS as a facility monitoring system. Another big chunk of automation in pharmaceutical world is managed by BMS, Building Management System. Those are typically systems that, differently from EMS, that are monitoring system, they are systems that manage, so they control, and they can control many different things like security access or lighting or HVAC system. So they are really widely used in a modern system, in modern facility for sure. Another that is worth to mention, that you mentioned, is the LIMS, Laboratory
Yes.
Information Management System. Those are software based, and they are in charge of handling samples, verification of sample and quality of the product within laboratories. So they are very important when we talk about product batch releases, because they are typically at the end of the measurement change, and those are software from where you detect whether the product is ready to go, can be released or not. I hope this clarify a little bit this word of acronym.
Yes. So what could you explain maybe what the main differences are and what particle measuring systems offers to pharmaceutical users?
Absolutely, and with pleasure. So, as I briefly mentioned, the particle measuring system main product is called Facility Pro, and it's a system that combines the acquisition of data from particle counter, microbial sampler, environmental sensors such as temperature, humidity, pressure, for example, together with a number of different automation skills to connect, by example, with a filling machine to be able to start, stop in case of a alarm, and as well reporting, which is extremely important when you need to uh, get your data out of your computerized system, and again, being able to release your batch, or why not identify any adverse condition and prevent those to happen again. The main difference with BMS, with building management system, is that they are the environmental monitoring system. They are in charge of handling your critical data. That's the main difference. And they are in charge of monitoring instead of controlling, managing a bunch of other area of the building. So this is pretty much a brief overview of what we offer and the differences.
Okay. Well, based on your description, it seems like EMS or, like you said, environmental monitoring system and BMS, building management systems, are very similar. Is this a correct assumption?
Sometimes this is misinterpreted. Let me say like that. I've seen many installation, many scenarios where BMS has been used to monitor as well the clean room. Uh, this is technically possible. However, validating a BMS, which is typically a very high customized system that again can control many different area of the building is quite complicated. It can be time consuming. So when there is this assumption of considering BMS and EMS the same thing or overlapping, this may lead to mistakes and at least longer validation and difficult customization. So my recommendation is to choose the right one.
So when someone is approaching a new clean room construction, which one should they choose, EMS or BMS?
Both, I would say. There's no choice here because um, something I keep saying is you cannot really build a modern facility without a BMS. I mean, everything about safety, fire control, lighting, HVAC system should be controlled by a modern system, by an automated system. And in this case, the BMS, the building management system, play a super important role. On the other end, when we go into the core of the clean room, where your critical data are generated, where your product is filled up into your vials or whatever container you use, then it's better to use a dedicated system, in this case, the EMS, to differentiate between the two, to let the EMS being in charge of handling your critical data and the BMS being in charge of controlling all the automation that are typically not critical for the release of the product. So short answer is both, each one for the specific application.
Okay, so there's a clear differentiation between the two systems. Both are needed. Some people may think that there's an era, or we should move towards an era of single digitalization, that this common approach should be pursued. What do you think? Do you think there should be separate control systems, or it should be all together in one?
Well, you know, you mentioned the digitalization, you mentioned the somehow the new technology, and having two systems doesn't mean that they are not able to talk to each other. I mean, considering to have two system is also a good way of approaching any future development with a clear risk mitigation pathway in mind. So relying on a single system may be nice when you envision that. Well, I have everything combining into this nice and user-friendly software, but you should always think about what happens if this system fail, if the system has a problem, or even simpler, if I need to upgrade this system, if I need to do maintenance of this system. So all of a sudden you may have the entire facilities holding on or shut down because of one of these events. While having those separated, first of all, gives you more flexibility. We already mentioned the differences. We already mentioned why you should use one or the other. And at the same time, it gives you a better management of the data itself. Again, I'm probably stressing this this concept of the data a lot today, but EMS system are really designed to provide data outcome and data quality. So that's another aspect to keep in mind.
Oh, data quality, this is the first time you've mentioned it, and that I've heard about this concept. Can you give the audience a better understanding of it?
Well, data quality is a term that somehow we we built that particle measuring system, and really, it's our way to uh, move a little bit aside from common concept of data integrity. We always talk about data integrity, how the data should be securely stored and inaccessible if you don't have the right username and password and so on and so forth. Everything about CFR 21 part 11 that I'm sure our audience knows very well. Data quality is going a little bit further, is going to the concept of transforming those huge amount of data into information. Let me give you a simple analogy. Think about a Lego bricks. Yes, the Lego, the piece of bricks that
Yes,
play with at least
the building
once in
block.
life, not only when you're young.
Mhm.
Uh, those Lego bricks as a single Lego bricks on its own may be meaningless. But when you build those together, they can help you building really almost anything, a boat or any kind of interesting stuff. So if you get this analogy in mind, then you think how you can convert a single piece of data from a particle counter, from a temperature sensor, microbial sampler, into a multivariate analysis with trend, with report, and so on, then it's the time when you get the information in your hand. And the information helps you to increase your knowledge and prevent adverse condition, improve your process, improve the quality, again, of your product, of your production. So this is typically something the BMS is not designed for. It's super good in handling complex automation, in managing different kind of system under a customized environment. But when we talk about data, a dedicated system that knows what we are talking about, knows what the standard and the regulation. I can mention ISO standard, GMP standard. So when it's time to handle those data according with the regulation, then is where a dedicated system will play the difference.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, Daniele, thanks a lot for this discussion. Hopefully, we can sit down again and have a further discussion about data quality and FMS. I appreciate your time and thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Thanks a lot, Ugo, for hosting this interview, and I look forward for the next one. Thanks a
Thank you.
lot.
Thanks.
Okay.